gender, your ethnic or religious background, your orientation, or your social status. Our struggles in this world are similar, and the lessons to overcome those struggles and to move forward, changing ourselves and changing the world around us, will apply equally to all. So here are the 10 lessons I learned from basic SEAL training that hopefully will be of value to you as you move forward in life. Every morning in SEAL training, my instructors, who at the time were all Vietnam veterans, would show up in my barracks room, and the first thing they'd do was inspect my bed. If you did it right, the corners would be square, the covers would be pulled tight, the pillow centered just under the headboard, and the extra blanket folded neatly at the foot of the rack. It was a simple task, mundane at best, but every morning we were required to make our bed to perfection. It seemed a little ridiculous at the time, particularly in light of the fact that we were aspiring to be real warriors, tough, battle-hardened SEALs. But the wisdom of this simple act has been proven to me many times over. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and another, and another. And by the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made, that you made. And a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. So if you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. During SEAL training, the students are all broken down into boat crews. Each crew is 7 students, 3 on each side of a small rubber boat, and 1 coxswain to help guide the dinghy. Every day, your boat crew forms up on the beach and is instructed to get through the surf zone and paddle several miles down the coast. In the winter, the surf off San Diego can get to be 8 to 10 feet high, and it is exceedingly difficult to paddle through the plunging surf unless everyone digs in. Every paddle must be synchronized to the stroke count of the coxswain. Everyone must exert equal effort, or the boat will turn against the wave and be unceremoniously dumped back on the beach. For the boat to make it to its destination, everyone must paddle. You can't change the world alone. You will need some help. And to truly get from your starting point to your destination takes friends, colleagues, the goodwill of strangers, and a strong coxswain to guide you. If you want to change the world, find someone to help you paddle. Over a few weeks of difficult training, my SEAL class, which started with 150 men, was down to just 42. There were now 6 boat crews of 7 men each. I was in the boat with the tall guys, but the best boat crew we had was made up of the little guys, the Munchkin crew, we called them. No one was over 5'5". The Munchkin boat crew had 1 American Indian, 1 African American, 1 Polish American, 1 Greek American, 1 Italian American, and 2 tough kids from the Midwest. They out-paddled, outran, and outswam all the other boat crews. The big men in the other boat crews would always make good-natured fun of the tiny little flippers the Munchkins put on their tiny little feet prior to every swim. But somehow these little guys from every corner of the nation and the world always had the last laugh, swimming faster than everyone and reaching the shore long before the rest of us. SEAL training was a great equalizer. Nothing mattered but your will to succeed, not your color, not your ethnic background, not your education, not your social status. If you want to change the world, measure a person by the size of their heart, not by the size of their flippers.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Karis Project podcast. We are at episode 166 of Matrix Reloaded. We're talking about the great feminist delusion. And we're not talking about people who call themselves feminists. We are talking about the movement itself and what it does. And so I'm gonna bring up a couple of clips, and I'm gonna actually put this up here first so people can see who we're talking about. Actually, we'll do that after. Let's bring up a couple of clips here. I'm gonna bring up something here. We were watching this let's go into the feminist clip. We'll bring up something from the whatever podcast. I saw this in a good go see you open it. Yes. And this is a valid point. I don't agree with a lot of what these guys say, but what they're saying here, we should give a listen.
Have feminists to blame for this because the core tenet of feminism is the patriarchy theory. Men as a class were the oppressors. It's basically Marxism, communism. Men as a class oppressed women. Women as a class are the oppressed. What does that teach women to feel about men? Nothing good. If you teach this to women, you're basically teaching women to have contempt for men, and that's what we're seeing playing out in real time. Feminists are the one who have perpetuated this patriarchy theory. Feminists are the one who pitted men against women and women against men. Now we as men are pushing back and saying, actually no, there are some things that are shitty to us too. So we're playing the feminist game now.
This is true because they use that and they're creating this binary dichotomy where you have, I mean, either you're the oppressed or an oppressor. And so, and this goes back to like Elizabeth Cady Stanton talking about education is going to be how they're going to win. And so the women have to educate the men to break them out of their delusion because the men are all inherently the enemy because of the patriarchy. And so they're going to be going around trying to liberate men. And if they don't agree with your ideas, then it's the patriarchy and you're just deceived and you're the enemy. But inherently, he's right. It instills a sense of disdain and contempt for men because every man you see represents an oppressor. What?
Not really. You said everything kind of like I'm kind of not following actually what he said.
Well, he was saying that the Marxist nature of feminism is what ended up creating the problem because men were never taught that women were the enemy. Feminism and Marxism, they have the same type of Marxist oppressor oppressed class. So feminism teaches women that men are the oppressors as part of the patriarchy, and therefore they are the enemy. So you cannot, this is being instilled into women's heads that men are the enemy. And they're like, oh, there's some good ones, but it's the patriarchy. And you're a man, you represent the patriarchy. And so that that gets you into this kind of thinking right off the bat. Next up, I'll bring up a slide of a woman that people can see who he is. And her name is Kate Millett. He said, the complete destruction of the traditional marriage and nuclear family is the revolutionary or utopian goal of feminism. So this is the goal for this is the object of it. This is the goal. Destroy the traditional marriage. Because if you're taught that men are the oppressors and that women are being controlled and oppressed by marriage, and that they're controlling your reproduction and everything else like that, then this is a natural consequence of teaching people that. Thoughts?
Not really anything to say. It's really cut and dry.
All right.
The goal of feminism is to completely destroy the nuclear family and traditional marriage, and yeah, it's tragic. We see it everywhere.
I will go to, I'll bring up a clip now. And this is gonna be talking about what this woman was doing before we move on. One second here. And this is it.
This might shock you, because I also thought the same for a very, very long time, that the people who created feminism actually were nice people who wanted the best for everyone and just wanted equality. Okay, here's what really happened. So, Kate Millett, she was an American feminist, author, and artist. She is the founder of the National Organization for Women. Her sister, Mallory, was invited to one of the first meetings that established the National Organization for Women. So this is a feminist group that has been around since the start of the feminist movement, and they basically pioneered the whole movement. At this meeting, they gathered around a large table with Kate Millett, the chairperson, and she opened the meeting with the following back and forth recitation. So this is how the beginning of the meeting went. "Why are we here today?" she asked. "To make revolution," they answered. "What kind of revolution?" "The cultural revolution." "How do we make cultural revolution?" "By destroying the American family." "How do we destroy the family?" "By destroying the American patriarch." "And how do we destroy the American patriarch?" "By taking away his power." "And how do we do that?" "By destroying monogamy." "And how do we destroy monogamy?" "By promoting promiscuity, eroticism, prostitution, and homosexuality."
Wow. Come on.
So this proceeded with a long discussion on how to advance these goals by establishing the National Organization of Women. Leader's sister says, "It was clear they desired nothing less than the utter deconstruction of Western society."
First wave feminism sought to give women men's rights without men's responsibilities. Second wave feminism sought to reduce or eliminate women's responsibilities. And third wave feminism seeks to increase men's responsibilities. And that's really the way I see it. When all the mixed messages are tallied up, we find that men can't win for losing. They still bear the majority of the burdens they did 100 years ago. To one degree or another, they are still expected to pay on the first date and onward, even months or years into the relationship. Still expected to be the higher earner in the relationship. Still expected to pay most or all of the household bills. Still expected to be at least as educated as their female partner, if not more. Still expected to be the one to buy the ring and to buy the flowers and then to buy the chocolates on Valentine's Day. Still expected to put themselves between a woman and any danger. Still expected to take responsibility for themselves and others, especially women and children. The primary difference is they aren't allowed to expect any thanks, gratitude, respect, status, or reward for it. In fact, these expectations in the current zeitgeist aren't a continuation of the traditional masculine roles of yesteryear. They only exist so men can atone for their collective historical wrongdoings. That's why.
That's essentially saying that you need to pay us reparations as we advance and become our slaves.
Yeah, that's essentially what she's saying. Yeah, it's essentially what she's saying. I don't really know what to say. This is crazy.
Well, I mean, this is what feminism is about. And this is like, you can't sit down and say that you honestly want the best interests of men when you're tearing down society. And I'm not saying down the average feminist, but if women that came in and do this, they're saying they want to destroy the traditional family and all these things. Why do you think they're pushing pornography to children? Why do you think that is? Because when you wire them down that way and they're doing this, they're finished. They're going to be promiscuous, and they're going to do all kinds of deviancy, and they're being manipulated and groomed by doing this. How do you think these things happen? They don't happen by just, oh, well, we're going to be nice and do all these things, because men understand you need to keep the human race going. That's really it. So then we're going to bring up another quote, clip here. This is referring to social media and so forth. Thought this was a clip from an interview with Andrew Tate and Jack. So we'll roll this here.
Not only can they shape a narrative, but they can use the narrative shaping to force action. If you're, for example, Candace, who I love, I am a fan of Candace. I will ride for and protect Candace to the end. But if she presents 5 theories on why something happened, and one of them is getting a bunch of traction positive, that doesn't mean it's true. In fact, it might mean the opposite.
Charlie Kirk was a time traveler.
My point is, we're now at a stage with the internet where it is so heavily manipulated by government agencies. Nothing you read is real. All the people you think you're interacting with aren't real. And the ones that are real are psyoped by the other accounts that aren't real. So everyone's a bot. Everyone's an agent. And they're convincing people to do very silly things. You could be a nobody retard streamer and sell out everybody who's ever tried to help you, even people who are more important than you, believing you're getting likes and clicks, and believing you're doing the right thing, and believing, people like me now. And you're just destroying yourself. And the system is keeping you there where you belong as a nobody. So I know things that I've been told from credible sources. And basically everything that you're currently experiencing online is a scam. When you're on the internet, you need to consider yourself alone. You need to approach the internet like, I'm alone here. And I'm actually, for the first time, directly interacting with the simulation, like the Matrix movie. I'm going to talk to the head of the machines, and all the sentients are around me. All the machines are around me, the agents are around me, the hologram programs, the sentients, the machine mind is here. I'm here to talk to the machine and understand what the machine is trying to convince me of, what it wants me to do. But there's no people here. This is empty. This is a desert. I'm here by myself. Because the feed, the algorithm that I am being fed, may not have any real people on it at all. And the other real person who's logged in has a brand new algorithm, different than me, a different For You page, and he has a whole new different set of bots convincing him of different things. The liberals have their circles, the conservatives have their circles, we're at war, everyone has their own circles, reading their own bots, feeding them their own things. No one's talking to each other, we're all isolated. Everyone's by themselves. If you accidentally cross over into someone else's sphere, you just read all the crap that's being sent at them and you join in. None of it's real anymore. How have the governments, as completely corrupt as they are, remained in power? Considering we now have unlimited access to information and can communicate instantly globally around the world with anyone. So how the did the people who are corrupted to the core stay in power? Surely the internet was a panic moment for them. Surely they thought, we have to shut this stuff down. But now it's bigger than ever. Are the people who are in charge of the entire planet stupid? I mean, people seem to they go, our politicians are idiots. Look at the state of the country. You think it's because they're dumb? Or do you think it's because they want it? Like, are you so ignorant that you think they're ignorant? They run the world. And if you're a smart person who's not in their club and starts to do really amazing things, you end up joining their club. So let's also argue. Not only, I'll ask you a question. Are the people in charge of the world idiots? If the answer to that is no, my next question is, are the people who are in charge of the world pretty good at convincing all of the world's best talent to join them? I mean, considering they can shoot you in the face. The answer is yes. So the best people on the planet do what? They rule the world. So are we going to sit and pretend that they've just let us all get this big group, this big club, where we can all sit there and just talk to each other and, oh, hey, I think, and just work it all out?
Yeah. So, people think that this whole thing is, people think that nothing is contrived. The internet is very, very, very much contrived. And that's really a big problem. People have to understand that everything that they're thinking about and reading and everything else is tailored to get a certain reaction from you. And I will go step further that the internet was designed to do this entire thing. Because while the guys that were coming together and thinking information superhighway that were coming up with this, the nerds that were doing this, there were guys behind them looking at the nefarious ways to deal with these things. Because these guys make their living off of warping things that can be used for good to warp them for evil. They saw an opportunity to start shaping people's minds. Because what was one of the first things that became very prolific as soon as the internet came? Pornography. They started to do things to get more money and more sales and more ads on the internet. I remember when you still had to get on the World Wide Web. They weren't even the world. It was the FTP sites and so forth before you had the HTTP sites. And you had to go from university to university to go in, and it was there to go in and get books from the university in Germany or somewhere else in Australia or South Africa. You could go in any library and go and get materials, and that was great. But then you'd get pornography while you were going out onto different websites. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure they knew that they could exploit the internet to shape people's minds long before that. Maybe some things they didn't expect, because you can predict relatively what people will do in sociology, but it's hard to predict the individual person. This is why they want conformity. Any thoughts, Kaysha?
I mean, he's right. What you said is right. Everything is fake. Everything you see online is fake. A lot of these women online, especially the feminists, like the way that they all come together at the same time, conveniently on the same day with the same talking point, like how you can be a Christian and wear a bikini. When that went all off and all the women were just conveniently there, and all the women pages were on the same point and they were blasting up. But somehow no one agrees with feminism anymore. Everyone's off it. But the counterpoints that people were saying, those weren't getting all the attention. It was only the ones where the women were promoting, like, keeping the feminism. So, like, you know, it, we're living literally in the simulation. We're literally in a matrix, in a simulation, and we're all on the Truman Show. Some of us are Truman and some of us are side characters, but we're all in the Truman Show, bro.
Well, basically, what's happening is that you're getting a lot of people that are saying certain things, but their actions say otherwise. And there's a huge focus on what people say rather than what people are doing. And that's a big problem, right? Because we need to start focusing on action, especially as men. Because when I sit down and listen to men and they say, oh, well, that didn't say that, or they didn't say that, I was like, okay, then. So when somebody rolls up, for example, I was watching a video, and this guy, he had a gun on the hood of his car when the police came back, and they had their guns drawn. And they were like, step away, back away. He's like, I got my hands up. They're like, step away, back away. And he's like, oh, I got my hands up. And they're like, if you don't back away, we're going to shoot you. And he had hands up, and then he's like, went to start to put, like, he's going to grab the gun. They're like, don't grab the gun, we're going to shoot you. He went to grab the gun, and they shot him. Well, he didn't say that he was going to kill them, but he was reaching for a gun when they told him not to. So how did they know to shoot him? By his action, right? If somebody sticks a gun to your head, are you going to be like, well, I'm in no danger. He didn't say he was going to kill me. No, you look at the actions and you determine that's a hostile action, so I need to do something about it. So when people sit down and say, well, oh, they didn't say this, it doesn't matter what they say, because if their actions tell you something, then that's what the thing is. Because you know what? People may lie, but their actions don't lie, because everybody can see their actions. And so if they're saying one thing and their actions are saying another, then you've got to trust the actions that you see in front of your face. And this is where we're having a huge disconnect, because especially with women, words mean more to women than they do to men. Men don't care much about what people say. They're more about what people do. And obviously, if you say something, you're implying certain things, or you're showing disrespect, so they're reading the action that those words are conveying. Women don't do it in the way that men do. Not a chance. Anyway, actually, before we go ahead, we'll just play a little short commercial break for people to, if you want to come in and support, please do. And we'll just be back after.
Hello friends, my name is Kaysha and I'm a proud member of the Métis Nation of Saskatchewan. And I'm also a survivor of human trafficking. My trafficking began in Saskatchewan, moved into Alberta, and even crossed into the United States. I was stalked, hunted, and ignored by the very systems over the last 5 years that were meant to protect me. This is why, with my father Dale Richardson, we started the Kaysha Project. This is an Indigenous, survivor-led movement for humanity dedicated to exposing trafficking, government corruption, and holding institutions accountable. One of the most powerful tools that we are using is the petitions for redress of grievances. These are lawful constitutional actions rooted in Canadian and US law, and in treaties that tie us together across provinces, across states, and even across borders. These petitions are precedent-setting. They create a binding record. They demand accountability while representing reconciliation in action. Indigenous and non-Indigenous people working side by side to preserve liberty for all. But we cannot do this alone. We need your help to keep this movement alive, to raise awareness and to build a legacy of justice for Indigenous women, for trafficking survivors, and for families everywhere. Thank you. Please stand with us. Your support makes this work possible. Together we can restore justice, heal families, and defend freedom. And I will close with my favorite quote. The greatest want of the world is the want of men. Men who cannot be bought or sold. Men who in their inmost souls are true and honest. Men who do not fear to call sin by its right name. Men whose conscience is as true to duty as the needle to the pole. And men who will stand for the right, though the heavens may fall. Thank you.
Yeah, so if you want to support the fight for human trafficking, please do so. saw there's QR codes for the donor box, the gifts and go. You can see it down here in the ticker as well. Or you can go to mypillow.com/Karis or call 1-800-845-2942 and use the promo code Karis to support a good cause. If you're watching on Rumble, Facebook, or it'll be on Substack as well. You'll see the links in the description. So please go out, support a good cause. If you like the content, we are here doing this pretty much on our own dime, getting absolutely destroyed. All right, so we're gonna play the next part of this clip so that people can, you can get an idea of what. So let's get.
The Arab Spring, which was a revolutionary moment in world history, was all caused by the internet. When Tunisia and Egypt and all these countries started overthrowing their leaders in 2015, I think it was, or 2005. I can't remember if it was 10 years ago or 20 years ago. I think it was 10 years ago, 2015. That was all an internet-led protest. The internet itself was the weapon used by the U.S. government to overthrow all these other governments. The America got a hard on and thought, we don't need to even bomb countries anymore. We can just set up fake accounts and we can cause riots anywhere and we can control everything. And then Donald Trump won the presidency in 2016. And they were like, oh, the internet was now used to choose an American president that we didn't want. We used the internet to choose a president that we did want somewhere else, but it turns out that can also be used against us. This was in 2016. Because Donald Trump was the first internet president because the news hated him, the media hated him, everyone hated him. The polls said Hillary was going to win 99%, but the internet saved him. So the internet got proved to be an extremely powerful tool. So now there's one of two scenarios. The people in charge of the world go, oh, well, we've lost control of the world. People are on the internet and they've worked out the truth. They ignore the news and they choose their own leaders. Doop-de-doo. Or did they think, let's hit him with Russiagate. Let's try and get him impeached. And let's get in control of this again. We have to fix this problem. We can't turn it off, but we can perhaps influence what people see. Perhaps. This is 2016. This is 10 years ago. They started working on this. Here we are now, and you scroll Twitter. Does it even look real? Think about it. Like, that's not real. This is not real. None of this is real. These aren't people. This is not real. I'm sitting there. I'm like, this is not real. This is a psyop.
You have to view it as though this thing is actively trying to manipulate me.
So yeah, that's really the purpose of a lot of social media and what they're doing on the internet. And the more you consume it, the more it's going to indoctrinate. Like, I'll give you an example. Like all the people that are running around saying, the Jews, the Jews, the Jews, you're psyop. If you're going around and thinking that every black person's a criminal, you're psyop. Like all those people that are hardcore racist, you're all psyop. And you're useless to the cause because of it. You're so blind. You're going to kill your enemy. You're going to kill your someone who is favorable to you and is on the same side as you, while all the elites are there laughing in your faces as your psyop. And the biggest psyop of them all, feminism. Feminism is the most destructive thing to society. You heard that woman. We're going to destroy the traditional family. We're going to destroy the nuclear family. We're going to destroy marriage and push homosexuality. We're going to push sexual deviancy, prostitution, and all of these things. Why? Because they want to destroy the patriarchy. They want to destroy men. But you know what they didn't tell you? You're going to destroy all your protection. And then the people who are left in the wake, who's going to protect you from them? That's the whole problem. Because you think you're going to go and have this great utopian society. I mean, if you believe that, I got a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn. Because feminism was never about giving women rights. It made people get discontent and they got a bunch of women together to start talking to each other and to do things to cause more problems. Sure, some of those women were, and abuse is wrong, but they have perpetuated so many things that are not true. Like when you're taught that every man is potentially your enemy, you're gonna hate men. I don't care what you say. In the back of your mind, your subconscious, you're like, this man, he's my enemy. So if he doesn't do exactly what I think, that he's an enemy, he's part of the patriarchy. And we have to get rid of the patriarchy. You're brainwashing women into destroying society. Most men don't want war with women. They don't. But I'll tell you right now, when you want all of these things for men to do, but you want men, they're putting women in a position where they're making more money. A lot of the cases, but then they want the men to do more than, and then do all of these things. But I get to make all my money, I get to keep it, I get to spend yours, and all of these things. Well, what kind of fantasy land are you living in? Like, honestly, you think about this logically. How is that going to work? How many men are making exceedingly more amounts of money than women, than the average woman? Not lots, not today. And then you want all of these men, so you're fighting for a very limited amount of men, and the rest of them fall to the side. And you wonder why you're getting run through. You wonder why you can't find a man that's going to stay faithful, because a whole large percentage of the men, they don't have a shot at getting any women. None. Because even the ones that are below average, they want the top men. Everybody wants the top men, except there's not enough of the top men to go through. But then if you're gonna throw yourselves at these top men, well, they're gonna run through you because it's there. And when people are intoxicated, they'll do, their standards will drop substantially. They'll be like, they'll keep you as a booty call, but then that's it, right? And then you're wondering why you can't keep a man. Well, there's a lot of competition, and if you're going to throw yourself at a man, he might sit down and say, okay, but he's going to be like, you're disloyal. I don't want you. So, thoughts?
Yeah, a lot of people actually can't get, like, a lot of men can't get women. And then, like, for women like me, like you mentioned that the good men are getting destroyed. So the good men are getting destroyed. Being men in general can't get women. The men that do get women are getting screwed over by the awful women. And then the good women, like, who have fathers, who actually want to be with a good man, someone who's genuine, if they can't do that, they won't be with anyone, because their father is not going to just pass them off to some retard or some scumbag. So then they're like, okay, well, I'm just chilling, and I'll just stay chilling and live my life like Paul, because they're destroying the people who actually should be reproducing together and leaving them to reproduce with criminals. You see what I'm saying? Like, which is a problem, which is a serious problem, because the people who are actually good people who could get things done can't work together. They can't even connect. They're isolated, like Andrew said. So they can't even work together because they're being isolated and destroyed. They can't have kids together. They can't have families. They can't even live genuine lives because they're constantly being hunted and destroyed, and some garbage is always happening. They never get a break. The only people that you can really have some semblance of peace with are the ones that are too stupid to understand what's going on and too criminal to function. Yeah.
And so now this is going to bring us to this this next clip, which we're gonna get into the incels, because what that woman, what's her, oh, Kate Miller or whatever, the feminist or Millet, the things that she wanted, that is directly, this is directly why there's an incel movement happening, because of the way that they've destroyed the traditional family values, and then the dynamic has shifted as a result. The women want all these things. They're making more money. They want men that make more than them. They want men at least as educated as them. And all these women are chasing a very limited amount of men. A large amount of women, and then a bunch of men get left to the wayside. This is how you get, because of that very dynamic. But let's listen to what they say.
I'm Julia Ebner, and I'm a researcher looking at far-right radicalization and terrorism. Part of my research is undercover within those groups, and I do these investigations partly because I want to understand better how they operate, because that's how you inform prevention and intervention programs, but also partly because I then work with security services to intercept their communication or to prevent terrorist attacks from happening if I do see something being plotted. I actually initially started looking into jihadist terrorism when ISIS was at the height of its power, but then I saw that there was a strong backlash from the far-right side of the spectrum, so I looked deeper into the far-right's online subcultures and saw that they were really gaining traction, especially among young people, and I wanted to get insights, really first-hand insights, and understand what was driving them. When I was younger, I always wanted to become an actress, and I did a few acting trainings. So I guess that was then helpful for being just really just an amateur in pretending to be someone I'm not. But it helped me to for example, to fool neo-Nazi groups or also jihadist groups into thinking that I could be one of them. For my research, I went undercover on the one hand with ISIS hacker groups, but also with American neo-Nazis, with German far-right extremists, identitarians and white nationalists, also with misogynist groups, and with conspiracy theory groups such as QAnon. A lot of people wouldn't really make the connection that actually neo-Nazis and far-right extremists are very similar to jihadists, in the ways they operate, also in the ways they think, but especially in the ways they use new technologies.
Yeah, like being very adept on using the internet. But what is actually taking place? And it's like I said, when I was young, you go to a party, the women leave, and when most of the women are gone, that's where most of the fights break out. Right? If you take away make a shortage of women, and this is what feminism has done, and then putting the women in the workplace, getting them higher pay, but then burdening the men with continuing the responsibilities and their obligations, and in fact increasing them, but giving them no reward and telling women they can do whatever they want. And then they're taking advantage of the men by extension to go out and create the spaces and keep those spaces safe for them to do all kinds of stuff and then spit in their face effectively. Not saying individually, but as a society, because the way society is indoctrinating people. And then you get a bunch of men that like they said, they're involuntary celibate. They want to have a woman, they want to have a family and all these things. And then we had the one woman that said, "You want to have kids? Why do all men want to have kids?" Because that's how we keep the human race going. That's why, because this is how we have our posterity, right? Through our children. So I'm going to play one more clip because we're getting up close to time. Do you have anything you want to say before this? Okay.
I've been interested in the rise of anti-feminism for quite some time, and especially when it manifests itself in targeted hatred against women or especially against feminists. The manosphere is a loose network of different online subcultures that are all misogynist and united in their anti-feminism. Incels is one of the most radical and potentially violent groups or networks within the bigger manosphere. Incels was originally a forum on Reddit that was basically set up for people who couldn't find a romantic or sexual partner and who were lonely. There was a positive goal behind incels in the beginning, but it has been hijacked over the years by deeply misogynist and anti-feminist activists who've turned it into one of the most hateful places you can find on the internet. When you're black-pilled, you don't believe anymore in being able to find a romantic or sexual partner. You don't believe that it's possible to change your behavior in order to find a girl. They believe that actually it's only the really good-looking guys, they call them chats, who are able to find women. So attractive men are called chats and attractive women are called Stacys in the incels vocabulary.
I hate to say it, but listening to this woman, she herself, she's psyop. She is psyop because she automatically thinks that anti-feminist means that you're misogynistic. I am not a misogynist. I don't hate women. I, in fact, quite love women. I have a daughter here. Quite love my daughter a lot. And so forth. So I didn't teach her, beat her, treat her subhuman. I just said, listen, we're different. I'm not a woman. I can't help you with stuff about women. And so we're different. But that doesn't mean I love you any less. It just means that you're different. I can't treat you the way I would treat, for example, my nephews. And me and my nephews, we would roughhouse and play, and sometimes somebody got a little bit hurt because we're men and we do stuff like that, right? I didn't do that with my daughter because I can't. Because the stuff that I did with my nephews, she would get hurt. Bad. So I wouldn't do that, right? And when we're talking and doing stuff, the way I would talk to them, I wouldn't talk to her that way. Right? Especially when they were getting older and they were doing stuff, sometimes they needed to learn a lesson. What I'm going to do for a man is not the same thing I'm going to do for a woman, young woman. There's no way. That would be abuse if I treated a woman like a man. So why did I do that? But you want the responsibility and the power of a man. But you don't want the treatment of a man. You can't handle the treatment of a man. Look what happened when a woman try to be like men. And like the one woman, she unalived herself. Right? And men get no gratitude for what they're doing. This woman is feeding into that. And a lot of those guys that are incels, they're getting psyoped into that as well. And they're not given any outlet. And it's like the people who are, like Andrew Tate was talking about, in control of the internet, they're fueling both sides. And they know what the result is. Because if you get a bunch of angry men that don't have any direction, bad things will happen. Right? She has no idea. This woman has no idea on how men function. She is trying to study it and put a feminist lens on it. But the incels, it's very apparent. If men don't have access to women, violence happens. People are like, well, oh, a lot of men didn't get to reproduce. And you know what happened in those kinds of situations? You had bands of people that would get together and they'd start robbing places and killing people as a result. Right? If every man has his own wife and his own family to look after, what are the chances that he's going to form together with a bunch of other people to commit mass crimes and start murdering people? This is why they would go into villages and start killing the men and taking the women and raping them and keeping them as slaves. Because a lot of men would hoard women and other men would be like, screw that noise. So they would start banding together and going ahead and start raiding places. Right? That's kind of the way things are. If you put people, especially when it comes to like women, because women are not a possession. It's like the other part of yourself. A man looks at It's not a possession. She's the person that he loves the most, and he's going to protect the most. So you deprive a man from that, what's going to happen to him? Of course he's going to get angry. Anything you want to say, Kaysha?
Yeah, that woman is a feminist and she's psyop, so that's why she's coming with that point. In short, she has fatherless behavior, man. That's what it is. And she doesn't understand the consequences of these things because they hear one thing and it makes them feel bad and they want to do something else. So it's like, yeah, pretty much what you said. You said it better than I can, to be fair.
So at the end of the day, we have to start reevaluating things. And we're going to have to come back and do the rest of this tomorrow. And there's more to this because we want to go into more of this. Some of the things that, why these things are happening. Because when you look at the progression of what feminism is doing, the women would have never seen this coming because they don't think this way. But the men who did this, that were funding the women, they were looking for this outcome. Feminism wasn't good to begin with. It was always something there for the elites. And they were using the manipulation tactics from people like Edward Bernays. And they're using the tactics that you talked about Saul Alinsky, Rules for Radicals. They're total propagandizing people. And they're using emotional manipulation. You know who are more susceptible to that? Exactly. Because women are naturally more emotional. This is what the devil did in the garden to Eve. He played with her emotions in a way that he couldn't do that with Adam. He couldn't because men we don't process emotion the same way that women do. And we don't express it as much. We're not the ones who have to look after babies. We don't carry babies in our stomachs to have a bond with them, an emotional bond with them, because they're feeling all that stuff inside and then they come out and have that natural bond. We don't have that because we don't need to do that. Right? We do something different. And so we have to understand that we have differences and those differences are necessary. And the way that women are being indoctrinated to think that men are naturally the enemy, they might sit down and say that it's not. But the effect of what they're doing, it is. And women are because of that, are hostile towards men in a way that's unreasonable. Because they're all taught that the patriarchy is bad and men are the creators of the patriarchy. Therefore, men are bad. And that connection is going to be made in your subconscious. It's going to take it away out the way on everything that you do. Some may not be as affected as much as others, but it's pushing people over in that direction. And this is the problem. Not the people, it's the ideology. And the people who said straight out that this is what they want to do. You destroy the traditional family, and you're literally destroying our society. It is. Because if you break down traditional families, how is our society going to survive? And then you're like, okay, we'll bring other people. Well, then our country will no longer be that way. Because all those people that are coming from third world countries, they're used to living in totalitarian systems or like India as a class system. If you're part of that caste, you'll never rise above it, and that's just the way it is. That's the way it is over there. So what? You're going to sit down and say, well, you're going to stay down there. That's all you're ever going to be. Well, who gets to decide that? Not you, because nobody wants to be the bottom class enough to stay down there. These things are absolutely reprehensible. And if they're coming over here and they don't have citizenship, they're like, well, if you don't do what we say, we're going to ship you back. But then everybody else is having people that were born here and that were in this culture, they start having less children because they want to be liberated. But those people are coming here and they're breeding like crazy. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to be outnumbered. And guess what kind of situation they're going to be living in? Not one that you're used to. And all those freedoms that you think you have, or you think that socialism experiment is going to work, wait till the Marxism when communism rears its ugly head, the dictatorship. Then you're going to wish that this never happened, but it'll be too late. All the people that you needed to fight for you, gone. Right? So I'm going to close here with a prayer. We need prayer. We need people to do things. And like, I'll just say this before we go, because we get suppressed because we do things that can help people. The things that we are doing are designed to help people and to show people in practice what they can do, especially because all these people that are sitting around that have never experienced any like hardship until you came into COVID, you're not equipped to do this. Most of y'all. And most of the people don't realize how bad the world is. You're not the ones equipped. There's a lot of broken people that need help. People who are stopping them from helping are only helping to fuel the inevitable, wanting chaos. And in that chaos, then a lot of people are going to be a lot of bad situations because they have no other way to deal with it, no other outlet. They want people to snap and pop off. The more you feminize men, the more dangerous they become, volatile, because they lack the self-control. And men need self-control. Anyway, I'm going to close with a prayer. I'll give you your final thought. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your grace and, Lord, mercy and the opportunity to call upon you. And Father, I ask of you this day to open the eyes of the people, Lord, especially the men, that we would come back to God, turn away from. And Father, strengthen all the men that are wanting to do what is right, that they would go out and reach the other men to help them teach about your love and your mercy and your strength. And Father, this day I help men and women would come together and work together and humble themselves before God, and that we would rebuild our families, our churches, our community, and our nation, and Lord, to protect the children from this evil wicked, and to stop this indoctrination and allowing people to do what is right and pleasing in your sight without threat of persecution, so that we can instruct our children in righteousness and raise the remnant of Jesus.
Amen. Thanks, Dad, for the prayer as always. Yeah. Feminism is a psyop, man. It's the worst one. And men like my father, Andrew and his friends, people like them get destroyed like relentlessly, with relentless pursuit, because they want to continue this feminist psyop so they can destroy families and destroy men in society. And it's really sad. It's really sad because the good men in society are the ones that need to be reproducing and maintaining families so they can lead other people in that mission of having families. They could be a good example. And when they reproduce, those kids will carry on that legacy of doing that similar type work. It's not everybody is a leader. Some people are actually meant to be followers. Everyone's a different part of the body. Some people are the eyes, some people are the hands, some people are the brain. But we have our part to play. And if we don't allow people to play their part, everybody loses, and people need to start understanding that and having some gratitude, because when you come across genuine people in life, you need to be grateful to them, because if not, it's going to come back to you in the worst ways. And what we're experiencing right now is an extreme level of ungratefulness that I can't even begin to understand. And I think, what does the Bible say? Ungratefulness is worse than witchcraft? Is it something like that? Oh, just kidding. She'll make you believe it was the Bible. But a West Indian proverb is ungratefulness is worse than witchcraft. And I can see why. Because the stuff that we're seeing is producing that very thing. So, anyways, thanks guys for tuning in. Come to the next video. We're gonna the next stream that we do tomorrow or the next day or something. We're gonna be doing more clips from Andrew, Tate, and some other people to talk about this feminism stuff, because it's not big pharma you need to be worrying about. It's not big Jews. It's big women. As Andrew said, big women, something like that in the interview. But that's essentially what it is. So yeah. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for tuning in. And to my dearest Karis, until we meet again, my friend, we will. Ciao.